All right. Hello, everyone. It's Brett Matsura and Luke Darling, and we're here with our next episode of the Luke and Brett Show. We were sitting here talking about what we're going to be talking about. Say that 10 times fast. And we came up with the power of email marketing in real estate. And this is something that Luke and I actually talk often about because really with any tool, people just kind of go in there not really knowing how to use it, and they just use it because they think they need to be using it, and it doesn't work. So that's what we're going to be talking about.
To be fair, we didn't come up with it. It was a Chat GPT suggestion.
Yeah, we didn't come up with it. We utilized AI in order to create a bunch of topics that we can talk about. And that's how you guys should be using it as content creation as well. Okay.
So
look, the power of email marketing in real estate. I think it's really kind of important to really discuss how do we define that, right? And is this email marketing is what I find from the real estate side of things is that people will go and purchase a list online and then they'll upload it into a mail program and they'll just mass send out emails and playing those small percentages on, you get mostly unsubscribes, you get mostly spam, you end up getting kicked off the email service provider, but you might get a few things out of it. Is that how you see it as well?
Well, I mean, I would put that in the bucket of cold emailing, which personally, like I'll look at things I would put that, like purchasing a list, in a lead generation bucket. And there's a whole nother process and protocol to like buying the cold list versus earned emails. And that's where somebody opts in and they give you their contact information freely in exchange for something of value or whatever it may be. So I really look at those like as two different things. And yeah, I mean, if you're on like the lead generation and cold email side, I certainly don't necessarily. I mean, I don't recommend mixing the two because you're, like you said, you're bound to put yourself in hot water, or not get any deliverability or anything like that.
So to your point, we're breaking that up, and I agree with you. Is if you're going to do a cold email campaign, which if done correctly, you'll get an ROI on it, but you don't want to use your primary domain. You want to use something separate to generate those leads, because if your mail account gets blacklisted and gets burned down, you don't want that tied to your primary domain account. So what I hear you saying is, look, you got to separate. You got to have a cold email campaign, and once somebody responds to that, then they're put into the email marketing campaign. Is that what I'm hearing?
100%. Okay. Yeah. So there's a good program out there for those who are actually interested in this. It's Instantly, which is one of the like there's a few, but this one's probably the leading provider of like products or services for specifically for cold email, and they do a good job of helping guide people along the process of doing it and doing it correctly, because there's there is a lot of opportunity there if done correctly, but it's a process and a system in and of itself. So if you have, like, for example, you have like brettmatsura.com, like if you were to go out and purchase like Brett M, real estate .pro or whatever, something like that, you could get a handful of those types of domains and plug them in and use that.
And they're sending it from that.
Yeah. So yeah, and it'll walk you through like a process of saying, hey, here's, go get like 10 of these domains to use for this, but this is for like larger scale, like lead generation, typically more so for like B2B type of an operation.
So is Instantly, now I've heard of a software, I haven't used it, called Lemlist. Is that, are you familiar with that? And is that the same as Instantly?
Same concept.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So going over to that, when we start talking about the power of email marketing in real estate, I got to say that, well, I think that most people use it incorrectly. I think what happens is that they just get, they decide that they're going to do a paper or a cookie cutter type newsletter, and they just
Hmm.
go through their sphere. They don't have any other contact with them, and they just put them on the list, and they just start sending stuff that may or may not be valuable to them.
Right.
The power of email marketing, it really needs to be focused, in my point of view, and really be strategically outlined. And most of that, if not all of that, should have some sort of opt-in, especially for colder. I mean, that's why we're
Yeah.
talking about having a cold campaign to allow people to opt in to receive your goods. But I think the mistake people make is that they're not separating that, and they're not allowing people to opt in, which means a lot of people are probably notifying it as spam. And gosh, once you get that black mark,
Yeah.
there's kind of no coming back to it, except burning down your domain and restarting.
Yeah. Unfortunately, if you and it doesn't. Yeah, I mean, it takes the touch of a single button to completely, put yourself in permanently like in the spam box. Like
Email purgatory.
yeah, and I mean, you'd have to go through great lengths to like recover that. So unfortunately, that's it's the a kiss of death for a lot of people who you know accidentally who make that unknowingly make that mistake, and that's usually what it is. It's more of a lack of information and knowledge when that happens. They upload their list or their database or take all their old clients, mix them, put in that cold stuff and send it out, and thinking they're being productive or taking action on it, and then just really do more harm than good. So yeah,
Well, and
keeping the two
you
separate
know
for
what
sure.
comes to mind is when we collaborated on a program years ago, when when there was a lot of defaults, and we collaborated on a cold email campaign. But it wasn't just that; we were actually having people call them uh, as well.
Hmm.
So I mean, the same holds true to today. Could So when it comes to real estate and mortgages, one could claim their market area, use my styrofoam cup method, and you
Yeah.
could go get a bunch of homeowner emails. You can purchase, or I should say, rent a list that has all the homeowners' data, perhaps emails in a certain area, and you can launch this cold email campaign,
Hmm.
right? Um, and then have them opt into it to get onto your regular list. So that's a good idea to grow your list, to grow your email marketing list. But then from there, what do you think is the best frequency to stay top of mind with them?
So as you're moving over into, earned or like permission based, when if somebody, freely opts in and says, yes, I want information from you, um, for first off is actually just doing something regularly, right? Too many people are getting emails or getting contact information from people, but then they never send anything at all. So just starting is like first and foremost, like getting something out there and doing something is first step.
Yeah.
But then from there, really at the end of the day, this is going to be uh, I would say it's more so for the industry or whatever you're in. Like if you're a realtor lender, once a week, it is a good, probably a good cadence. There's you don't want to get into, it's one of those things where if somebody's interested or they're on their hot list, or say they're clicking on, your IDX, and you're moving those into like hot prospect, like they're actively searching, like that could be a different sub list of your email list where you could be hitting them daily with stuff, right? But if you have your entire database, bringing them regular information, and this is something that's like, if you are if you're in real estate, like you're not just going to constantly be sending people stuff about real estate. So to go back to your like your cup method, your circle method, like what are the events that are happening locally that are coming up? So you don't have to like come up with new ideas. It could be like, hey, there's this, this free music festival, or a list of like, hey, the fair's coming up, or things to do with kids or parks, like things like that. That's timely and valuable outside of just like new houses on the market type of a thing.
So the interesting thing with that is that this really goes into what we talk about of identifying who your ideal target client is. I call it your ideal client avatar.
Hmm.
And it's not for somebody who just owns a home. Because if all you did was just throw data at them, they probably won't find that interesting until they're actually in that process of wanting to buy or sell a home, which according to the National Association of Realtors, if I remember correctly, it's moved back up to 10 years. Um, but if you're going to send something weekly, and that's what I encourage people to do, I say you need to have a top of mind campaign, email them weekly, snail mail them monthly, like with a newsletter, and then
Hmm.
call them once a quarter. That's kind of the overall gist of how to stay in contact. But the thing is, you've got to give things a value. You can't just send out information just like, hey, look at me. Like the one I
Right.
get a lot of these things, the one set in liners. It's a question. Are you looking to sell your house, or something like that? I'm
Right.
sure that they get some sort of ROI on it, but probably not much. But if you're looking to stay top of mind, you've got to continue to give good value. And one thing that Luke did, and probably, well, I don't think you didn't do it anymore, but you did it when you were in the insurance business, is you'd give out event information, and you did a raffle for like tickets to an event,
Hmm.
and you grew your database on that, which ended up generating leads. So I think that the content has to be has to be valuable to who you want to attract.
Right.
That's why they
Yeah,
call it.
there's
What do they call that? An ethical
I'm a
bribe,
big fan. Yeah,
lead
I'm
magnet.
a big fan of the um the local like current events type of a thing, for I mean, at least for the real estate market, because um there's you don't have to create that content. You can customize it to speak to the type of person that you want to go after too. So if it's like, growing families, it can be a list about stuff for, young kids to do type of a thing, or whatever it may be, right? Social, if you're targeting high income professionals, it could be social events for something like that, right? So you can kind of customize it to your demographic, or your target market too.
And it works. I mean, that's
Yeah.
the key here, is to be top of mind, to stay in top of people. So we have a strategy here. Use a cold email. Use a bunch of campaigns. The focus is to grow up your list, and we're talking about the power of email marketing. You In 2023, in the modern world, you can't not have some sort of digital email component into your follow-up campaigns, your nurturing campaigns. But on that same token, I don't feel that people should go all in on that either. One of the things that Dan Kennedy says, I was going to say Dan King. I don't even know who that is, but he always says the worst number in any business, in anything, is one. So if you only have one campaign going, and that's the only thing that's providing you with a fresh source of leads or growing your database, then you're really opening yourself up to some tragedy.
Right.
So have the cold email campaign, have a physical campaign, have a whatever it may be, all of them feeding into growing the database, but then also having that nurturing campaign in place so that you can stay top of mind. But you always have
Hmm.
to give value. You always have to give. There's that great book by Gary Vaynerchuk. Was it Jab 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 Hit?
Yeah,
Is
jab
that what it
jab
is?
jab, right hook, or
Yeah, Jab 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 Hook. And he's all about give, 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 ask. give, ask. And it's a small ask. So you're not always constantly selling things. You're
Right.
giving more than you're asking for, but if you continue to give, you're actually earning the right to make an ask. So like a 5 to 1, 5 to 1 give to 1 ask. So if you're
Right.
creating content every day of the week, every day of the work week, one of those days can be ask them to do something.
Right. I look at it is the value bucket where you're filling up this bucket with equity, and then making a deposit into the bank, deposit, withdraw. So it's like
Ooh.
this goodwill where you're filling it up, and then taking back. um I heard a good adaptation of that from Alex Hermosi not too long ago, where it was give, get.
Well, I
Where
like that even
you
better.
never ask, you just start to get stuff because you're in that constant mode of giving.
And that really comes back to saying the saying that I have is that I'd rather be popular than good, because if you're just giving, not only are you creating goodwill, you're allowing people to get to know you, like you, and trust you,
Right.
which is hugely important in any sales industry. I think that's probably one of those common fundamentals when it comes to actually probably in life. So if you're give, and that's your whole plan is just to give, the get part will take care of itself.
Right.
You just have to be ready to get the get part.
You might have to deploy a little patience at some point in time, but
You know, and that goes in with what we talk about is the most important facet of any sales business is lead generation. That's where most of your time should be
yeah.
focused on is lead generation, because if you have an abundance of leads, everything else will work itself out. But if all you do is just prepare to get ready the whole time and never really focus on leads, when that one lead comes, man, you better be prepared to hit that thing out of the park.
Right.
Um, but if you focus on leads, everything else will work itself out.
Right. As far as like, I mean, you brought up cold email, in in that line of thought, that I probably would not recommend like a cold email campaign for somebody in real estate right out of the gate. Um, but pairing a cold calling or outbound phone, and then getting permission from that contact to mail them, would be a much better strategy of saying, hey, can I send you some stuff, type of a deal, where you're making the phone call. So I think incorporating that into an outbound or a lead generation component would be much better suited for most people versus setting up an entire cold outbound email campaign right out of the
I,
gate.
I agree with you. One of the things that I train with real estate agents on when we start talking about like expired listing campaigns or for sale by owner campaigns or really any campaign is that we need to focus on aligning with the modern consumer's journey. Like nobody's
Hmm.
answering their phones. I mean, people are, but a very, very low percentage of them.
Right.
And there are laws to stop people from doing it, and there are laws that hinder us from sending emails, and there's laws that in some areas hinder us from just showing up at people's property, knocking on doors. Now, put that aside, not even considering the legal aspects on a local level, but what is that saying as a consumer behavior? It's
Right.
saying that if you do those, you're really going against what people want. Instead, what I encourage people to do is send them something by mail. Reach out to them first. Um, Offer something free market analysis. Then you could do a follow-up call. Like I would send you, let's say that you're a for sale by owner, Luke, and I come to find and I have a packet of information. I'd have it FedExed over. Yeah, it's going to cost 25 bucks, but if your property's $1 million and the typical rates, that's a commission of anywhere between 25 and $30,000. I mean,
Right.
how many do you have to do before you get your return on that? But you send that out and you have a package of information for them that they can review because we know that they're what kind of information that for sale by owners are looking for, and you don't hear anything. Well, the great thing is a day or two later, you call them if you have their number, and I say, "Hey, Luke, this is Brett with XYZ Real Estate. Hey, I sent you a package that got delivered to you, a few days ago. I'm following up to see if you got that." So you open up the
Right.
conversation there. Now, whether or not you are interested in meeting, I got that mind space from you, and before I end that call, I'm like, hey, by the way, Luke, one thing that I do is I have a monthly newsletter, e-newsletter. I provide weekly market updates, whatever you want to do. There's no cost to you. Would you be open to me putting you on that list so you can receive that valuable information? And then that's how you're going to, I think a lot of people, they're just going in for cold calling, just looking for that buyer, that seller, and they're not asking that other question or seeing the value that you have them on the phone. Let's see if you can convert them to being someone on their database.
Right.
No one else is doing it. I mean, very small, very few people. And I think that's a testament because people aren't really being trained to do that. But there's really, there's more than just the objective of finding out if someone wants to sell or buy,
Right.
especially if they live in a
Yeah.
market that you claimed.
Right. That's a, you know, getting that contact and gaining, and I think a lot of people will, I- you know, not necessarily looking at like, hey, I'm going to get a listing from this phone call, but like, hey, I'm going to get a contact or have a conversation, like see how I could help that person or whatever,
Yeah.
and then get the permission to continue to engage them, and then you move them and then now you have that permission based like contact to continue to move forward with. So I'm a big fan of saying, would you be uh, asking a positive in a negative? Would you be opposed to me sending you out some information or shooting you over an email with some stuff that I have that I think you might be valuable?
Yeah.
Like, it's a lot easier for people to say no than it is to
It's
say
funny how
yes. Or
similar we
you know,
are because we've known each
would you
other for
like
so
that?
long. My saying is, would you would you object to me doing X?
Right.
So that's fun. But here's the thing: we start talking about the power of email marketing, and it is powerful. But really, what we're talking about is the proper way of doing it. One of the ideas that I give to, I've been given this idea for a long time. I travel into different markets, and I want to learn about what the real estate market is before I get up on stage or I train somebody. I want to know what's going on with the real estate market before I get there. And so I just go to Google and I just search what it is. And I very rarely do I find a local resource that just has a YouTube page that just talks about the local real estate market. And I'm just talking about very simple actives, pendings, under contracts,
Yeah.
closings, where the median price is, where's the market going, what's the inventory, what's the month uh, what's the days on market, how many months of inventory do we have based on current metrics.
Yeah.
I can't find that ever. Rarely. I'm going to be going to Chicago here at the end of this month, and I'm going to do that same. And I bet you I'm not going to be able to find that I'll find the big websites that just have the general information,
Right.
and I'll find an association. But to find an actual real estate professional that's consistently doing it, it's a gem. It's a hidden gem for
Why?
sure.
I mean, I think I have my hot take on why that is, but and to me it seems like, I mean, there's a hurdle for realtors and people to get out YouTube videos or videos like that with contact.
That's true.
And so number one, I mean, there's already that hurdle, and then number two, it's not time, or it's timely, but it's like only for that snapshot in time, versus like, if I'm going to make a video, like, why not have something with more legs that's going to talk about like this neighborhood? I get that, but that's I mean, that's just kind of like, it's already hard enough to produce content for a lot of people. So that's just my kind of like assessment of like, now, could you rip something out, right? Could you just go live and screen share
Yeah,
on YouTube and
like a
say, hey,
YouTube reel.
here's how many stuff we got going on? Like, you
You
could
know. What are
rip and
YouTube Reels? Are
deploy
what,
those.
30 seconds, right?
What's that?
YouTube Reels are 30 seconds,
Sub 60 for reels
sub
or
60.
shorts.
Okay. So 60 seconds, you go on once a week, unscripted. You look and see
Right.
what the market's doing. You look and see what the new things are. Have a call to action onto it. Now, um, the reason why I recommend doing that is because I always say that the real estate agents or the buyer's agent or the mortgage professional, your next interview already started. Because the modern consumer journey, the modern consumer, once they find somebody, once they're interested, and once they want to learn somebody,
Right.
they're going to go and Google them. They're going to go and try to learn about more information. And if you're the one who has the most content on the local area and has the most contact on the local market experts, you're going to be perceived as the expert. Now, whether or not you feel that you are or not, perception is everything. If
Yeah.
you have, there's 52 weeks in a year, you do that 52 every day, every week for the next 52 weeks,
Right.
you're going to be like 52 videos ahead of the next average, the next real estate agent,
Right.
right? And then you start supplementing things with that with other neighborhood and stuff. You're doing 2 a week. Now you have 100. So just straight, even if the algorithm doesn't help out at all with additional views, just the sheer amount of content when somebody goes and starts looking for you is going to allow you to have that mind space with the consumer, which
I
ties
love that. I mean,
into
that's a much better way to put put out that content. Where it's the barrier of deploying it is that much lower, right? Just
yeah, it's
cranking out a
easy.
short.
Yeah, but
Love
you're
it.
right. If you have to put up your studio, you got to get the lighting, you got to create a whole slide deck, and it's going to take you 30 minutes to do a 1 minute video. Then that is a commitment that's a really hard lift. But if you practice out the script and you have the information, the first couple of times it's going to be awkward, but man, I'll tell you, the fifth, sixth time that they do that, as long as they keep that same format, it's just going to be smooth sailing. I just gave myself an idea of what I'm going to do today, Luke. I'm going to build out that script. I've been talking, I've been sharing the idea, but I think where people are mixed up on is they don't have a step-by-step process. You and I could just give you the idea and you'll just go run with it, but I don't think that's true for everyone else. They need to have a structure, they need to have a script, they need to have an example, and then they need to do it themselves.
What I would say on that, my kind of we go from we go from email marketing to this is why I love these
Boy,
conversations.
did
'Cause
we transition.
so let's be real. Videos, definitely much more where
But
where it's
to
at.
our to fairness, there should be a call to action. You're giving information, but if you want to download my free report, if you want to get
Right.
updated on this, on what's going on in the market, download my free report, and that's going to grow the database. And going back into what you and I had talked about on a few videos ago was your buy one get one offer, right? The free.
Yeah.
And if you want to have get access to this month's BOGO offer, ice cream cone or whatnot, then be sure to become a member of my newsletter. And not only will you get great information, but you'll get, special um, membership only treats.
Right.
So it
I
ties, it's an ecosystem.
mhm.
Everything ties to everything.
At the end of the day, that's really that. It's that omnipresent,
It's like Avatar.
ecosystem that you're have a capacity to create. So I got I'll share this with you on the market update shorts, um, which I think will be it's an easy, no excuses way to make that content is just take the notes app on your phone, which everybody has, right? Has some sort of version of the notes app. Mark it, bullet point out the topics, and not necessarily a script, but like here's the active days on market, average sales price, the things that you want to do, and green screen record, which it's built into the app. you just say, I select the effect of green screen, and that's the one where like you put your notes app up behind you, and then you're that talking head, and you're able to just, talk through that stuff and say, hey, so here we go on this
Wait a second. So you're saying on your phone,
on your
when
phone.
you're in your YouTube short, right? You use the green screen. So you got to do it in front of a green screen.
Nope.
No?
You do. So you take your like notes app on your phone, right?
Okay.
And then you create the you know the market. So you say Irvine, days on market X. So you just write out like you would write a regular note.
Okay.
And then there's the features within the app where you select green screen. And it might not actually be native on YouTube, but I believe it is, but I know it's native on like Instagram and TikTok and
Okay.
CapCut and all the
Well,
other
if it's
the
Instagram, they'll
software
have it
things, right?
on.
So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
so it's pretty much it's pretty much a standard thing for most of the short platforms. So the Notes app directly on your phone, whatever you want to talk about, you hit the green screen effect, and
On the
it'll
Notes app.
and on the app itself,
On the app
directly
itself.
in the app, and then it'll say, okay, what do you want as your background? And then you select you could take a screenshot of your notes app that you want. I want that as my backdrop. So it's like a screenshot of your notes app. You put that behind you, and then you just talk about it. Or you could take a screenshot of a news article, you know, that you found from one of the big boys that put it out, and you say, whatever topic it is, um, and just talk through it, talking head style. But the
I'm going to
notes
try
app would
that.
be super
I'm
duper
gonna I'm gonna
simple.
try that because that just
Um,
makes it so you're just doing it. It's just done. You have your notes in front of you. All you have to do is just talk about the numbers. Because numbers don't matter until
right.
you actually give them a meaning. So that's something that they can give a meaning to. I like always recommending. Actually, you could probably do this on all the platforms. Have something that goes out on all the platforms. I like YouTube just because it turns out to be a library of such,
Yeah.
and it indexes through Google and
Right.
YouTube.
Yeah.
But I also see that
Um,
there's a benefit on the. So you might have to what? You might have to choose. I mean, if you do Facebook and Instagram, you can do those on the same platform. So you can just kill two birds with one stone. But you may actually have to do it twice. Is that what?
no, I mean, so there's so natively so you can save your videos usually natively, um and then post them on all the other platforms, right? So you only have to
Okay,
make it once.
save it into your camera or into your
Yeah.
phone, and then go and post them. Okay,
Yeah.
that's a great idea.
So some of them, that's a newer feature on TikTok. I'm not sure if everybody has it, but if you don't have it, you can go to you can download, just copy the link and go to an app called Snaptick, and Snaptick will allow you to download it without any watermarks or anything, so you're not sharing like a TikTok video on
Hmm.
YouTube. But just take that video, as soon as you download it, it'll download, save it to your phone, and then you put it out on Instagram, Facebook,
Yeah, and then
YouTube
just
Shorts.
remember to delete it from your phone.
Well, you
Otherwise, you're
keep
going to eat
it.
it up. All right. Well, look, we're a little bit beyond. We're at 34 minutes. So, look, we started out here talking about the power of email marketing. I think there is a value to that. I think we shared that. But in addition to that, we transitioned into how that goes into a more digital environment because the email marketing is part of the nurturing program. We still got to fill that funnel. So,
Hmm.
any parting words, Luke?
Let's get it.
All right, guys. See you guys next week.
Rock and roll.